Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another Supercoach Insider podcast. My name is Swizz, continuing on with my Supercoach BBL team discussions. Today we've got the Hobart Hurricanes. But before I get into that, as always, check us out on all our social media platforms, in particular YouTube, Spotify, and get in contact with us via X, Supercoach Insider 100, or Swizz26 for me directly. All right, the Hurricanes are up, not as relevant for our starting sides, but I have seen some players popping up, one or two players in some people's teams, and one of them with good reason. But as you can see by their fixtures, bit of a tough fixture to start off with. It's going to be about 24 degrees for the Geelong game, so hopefully the weather stays good there and they actually get started. And then a couple toughies against the Scorchers and the Strikers before a run of games at Ninja Stadium, otherwise known as Blundstone, or in the more traditional name is the Bellerive Oval, so their home ground down there in Hobart. And then they finish off with round 8 double game Renegades at home, and then the Heat away before the Stars at the MCG. So a team that we'll be probably looking at trading into later on, but there potentially could be a rookie or two that you could be looking at starting with. The most owned player so far is you'll see there on my extras list, Jake Doran, who's in currently 33% of teams. And though he's been playing all right in the some of the first class games as their wicket keeper, the big reason why people are looking at him is because they do already have McDermott and Wade. He's most likely not going to get in that starting side. So somebody that people are looking at using as a loophole option at 39.5k, the cheapest that we can get. You potentially can have him in either the wicketkeeper or batsman, depending on what you want to do. So a great example of this would be you might start either Harper or Inglis on your wicketkeeper emergency, and put the emergency on them, have Doran on field, and then see how they go. If Inglis or Harper go well, or Joe Clark is another one people are looking at as a wicketkeeper. So if they go well, you can keep Doran there, and then if you're going to use your vice captain loophole. So the way that works is round 1, you might be looking at a Bo Webster or a Tom Curran, for example, plays in the first game, and then they have their double match later on in the round. So you'd put the vice captain on Curran or Webster, and if they come out and score really well, let's just say they score 100 in the first game, and they're probably looking like having a really good first round score, you would then want to take that score, and by doing it is by putting it on somebody like Doran, who you got to double check isn't picked, but most likely isn't going to play. You put the captaincy on him, Doran doesn't play, gets a 0, then you get his emergency score, which would be Inglis or Harper or Clark or whoever you've got there, and then Tom Curran, you end up getting the captaincy score. If for some reason Inglis or Harper don't go well, then you can always trade Doran out or move them into the batting or the wicket keeping, depending on where you've got them, and move another player in there to get that score that week. So it's he's a handy one because you can literally use him for both, like loopholing in the keeping and the batting, and that vice captaincy situation. So definitely some food for thought there. And everybody's kind of looking at that loophole player. Some are looking at starting maybe a Buckingham who potentially will get to play some games, which is definitely worthwhile considering. But in the same time, a player that is most likely not going to play, who's not taking up salary cap, makes a lot of sense as well. So there is a bit of food for thought there. And the other good thing I do like about Doran, in round 7, their round 7 match against the Sydney Thunder, that is the first game of the round. But outside of that, they don't play first at any other point. So round 1, they play the last game. Round 2, it's second. So you can still loophole a strikers player, which will be Matt Short, into Doran. Round 3, it's third. Round 4 and 5, they play the fourth game. Round 6 is the third, the round 8 is the second game, and the last round is the fourth game. So nobody has a better fixture than that in regards to later in the matches in a round outside of the Renegades. But we do know the Renegades do have that double game in round 3. So it is definitely something to consider if you are looking for a loophole player. All right, other relevant players with higher percentage at the moment, we've got Tim David, currently in 22% of teams. That would be probably because he is at 72k. Obviously, he's been part of the Aussie team for quite a while. He played in the T10 series, actually had a decent series. So runs scored was 24, 1 not out, 30 not out, 21 and 37 not out. So we do know him coming in later as a power hitter, can get a good score. Not somebody I personally like because it is a later batsman who's not potentially might only bowl an over or might not bowl. But for 72k, you probably can do worse, and I can see why some people are trying to jump on him early. So yeah, probably no real issues there. McDermott's in 11% of sides at 138. We know what he's done in the past, so I can understand why some people want to hope that he's going to return to that form. But I just probably don't see it sort of happening. Last season, outside of that round 7 where he got 141, it was not much to report back, and we've really got to start going back further. Like in round 10, it was the 21-22 season where he had the 206, and then in round 6 he had the 347. So absolutely brilliant scoring at the time, and that's where he got himself up to nearly 270k. But yeah, it is now sort of going back a little bit since he sort of put them up. We've kind of got that 2 seasons of data now where he probably hasn't probably performed as well as we would have liked. Moving on, we've got Nathan Ellis is in 12% of teams. Had a pretty decent series against Pakistan in the T20s. So, international quality bowler, 1 for 20, none for 30, and 3 for 9 at 112k. Probably one player that I would be wanting, or at least looking at for that double game later in if he's available. So something to consider, but I think there's probably better options at that price. Like, you're only going up 9k to get to Spencer Johnson. You've also got like Tom Rogers only 5k more, who's got the double straight off. So I think there's probably better options to start off with people going there. Same Riley Meredith's in 10% of sides. Now, he has had a ripping first class series so far. He only played the 3 games, but 4 for 95, 1 for 44, 3 for 53, 3 for 39, 3 for 50, and 1 for 16. So yeah, known wicket taker, 83k. If you were going to make the choice between Ellis or Meredith, 83k, you'd take Riley Meredith there. And yeah, not a bad sort of cheap option. Break even of 28 to start off with. If he's going to bowl, like he probably didn't have the best season last season and did struggle, and that's why he is at that price. But we know he's been consistent before. 22-23 did average 45, 44 the year before, so it's not out of the realms, and even 42 the year before. So that's kind of where his consistency mark, that would probably make him a little bit of K, but again, I think there's probably other options, especially in the bowlers, that we need to consider. Down there, Waka Samalakil, I've absolutely butchered that, 117.5k. Currently, obviously, in no teams, but just somebody to watch. He's a left arm wrist spinner, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how he goes and how that affects Paddy Dorley, who didn't have the best series last year, and obviously was a wonder the year before, and played a T20 series, I think, recently in South Africa. Probably didn't do so well over there too, but so it'll be interesting to see how the other BBL batsmen attack him this season. I'd probably be staying away from him too at the moment. So the only one that really needs to be discussed is Shai Hope, the West Indian wicketkeeper batsman. So have a look at him when he finally comes out here. Might be worthwhile because obviously a very talented cricketer. But outside of that, I'd be trying to sort of leave alone. Maybe if you're looking for a batsman in that price range, Tim David might be the one. But definitely consider Jake Dorham, especially if he's definitely not picked, which with those keepers, as I said, shouldn't be. Hopefully that helps you guys set up, especially your loophole. And we'll be moving on to our next team, which we're now getting into the Melbourne side. So the Renegades will be first up, followed by the Stars. Enjoy the day, guys, and we'll be back soon. Bye.